be able to pick up their podium spot. With the Infinix GT20 Pro, it might just be possible with that phone that all the players are currently using here. So check it out outside of today's games, but remain here for the time being, so you can witness history. The PUBG Mobile World Cup at Esports World Cup.
Oh yeah, that's right. The crowd has been getting rowdier and rowdier over the course of the days. They've been enjoying the plays that have been occurring on the grand stage. Just strap yourselves in, make some noise, feed the energy in the STC arena, and let's give it up for these squads going into our third game of the day. An opportunity could present itself to Alpha 7, a chance for Reject to climb up. And then, like you said, so closely grouped for the other squads in the mid portion of the pack. A lot of prize money on the line, the bragging rights. That title, for the first time, will be given to one of these squads at the end of Championship Sunday. And there has been so much to dissect and digest, so we'll set our focus in on Game 3.
Circle down towards the southwest, not towards Sosnovka this time around. We're over towards the swamps, the ridge sides, the valleys, the fields. Who's going to be able to plant their feet in a position? Will they be able to grow some success, pick up some points, take them home? Twisted Minds are towards that northeast side, but directly in the center is DRX, fourth place, vying for that third. A good start for them. And Alpha 7 with a fairly easy rotate on that northern side of the map.
Hello, Alliance. First shot across. Alliance off the back of taking themselves an opening win with the chicken dinner in Game 2. They get that shot over. Slow down the might of Tianba early. Tianba that have been looking like they've been trying to find a way to fan the flames. Of course, we were saying that grouping just above them is very tight. A few points of difference from to leapfrog up from 8th place potentially all the way towards 4th if you could have one clean game.
QXZ look to pick up their boy. NXC here on Tianba. A bit more calm here towards the start of the game. I say a bit more calm despite what's having already a knock, but if you were here for our last couple of games, you'll know it's been rowdy in these circles. It's been terrifying. It's been scary. And that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see teams just not sitting back, not lounging, not reclining. You want the full face forward here. You want the gamer leaning. Championship Sunday.
It's all to play for. And plays are already being made as the shotgun's going to slay, blow them away in the close quarters action. Instant attack from Vampire, twisting the screw towards Twisted Minds and taking down one of the squad mates early. They really have had a curse on the opening drops over the course of playoffs, Blank. It's never looked comfortable.
Yeah, Twisted Minds feels like they're phoning it in, honestly, during this last day, which is annoying, considering that they are a good team. They have great players. And it just feels like some very silly mistakes at the start of the game, which I think could have been easily rectified. So, Twisted Minds, I hope that they take this tournament and they absorb some of the knowledge from it and can move forward and have some better results. Because the thing is, they're 62 points, right? They're one good game away from a top 5.
Yeah.
Why are we throwing away matches at the very beginning? Doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a shame. Maybe the confidence has gone. They've lost their potential edge that they could have had. Really feel like those awkward encounters where it was them versus Reject yesterday, always neck and neck, but never really going the way of Twisted Minds other than one matchup, resulting in them barely limping away from the fight with 2 players. All ancient history now, though. It's all about the present. It's all about what's happening in the here and now. Reject, similar drop from last time, back over towards Rozok. Talon on the move. Power and Co. starting to head down towards the new zone as well. DRX on your screens here at a pretty good center location right now with some squads around them, of course. Vampire towards the coastline. Obscure and Twisted Minds, that trio off towards the left. Xavier, IWNRX, and Tong Ji Abao. Also, over that way, for Miracle Vibes on your screen here, locked in at 12th place, 1 point of difference between them and IWNRX.
IWNRX, great survival stage. You know what? Very, very well done. But it felt like a lot of the gas that was still in the tank was used up all on that survival stage. Now they're running on fumes. And the pistons just not pumping as hard as before. Keep the engine groaning.
And I think they delivered for the fans. We saw a lot of excitement towards the Istanbul Wildcats next Ruya with how they were playing. But those Wildcats, they've lost that ability to pounce, to lay low and strike like an animal in beast mode. But you talk about the beasts on the server, Alpha 7, they are synonymous with that word. They have been so absurd with how they've played. Looking damn good on every engagement. Smart rotates. And at this point, with the stalemate between them and Reject over the course of today, outside of their opening chicken dinner, they haven't needed to give it that much extra gas.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just saving it up, Blank. They want the big finish.
I mean, realistically, if they can take it slow and just realize that Reject is just not getting anything done here during these matches, then yeah, those last games of the day, they're going to be real important. And I think Alpha 7 will need to save some of that energy, some of that prowess towards the end of the day, considering how well Reject seems to do when it comes to the Miramars. Some of their splits are fantastical. DRX suffering at the hands of TJB. They slide on up towards that high ground. And they'll take a stand here. DRX looks like they're going to be going down to just the one player. So after a fairly decent try-in, getting towards the podium, immediately knocked back down a peg.
Feels like the story of Sisyphus for DRX today. They roll that boulder all the way towards the top of the hill, but it always comes crushing back down. Tong Ji Abao with those 2 elimination points. If you could keep on building from it, you could lap them, especially with it only being 1 man remaining for DRX. They're out of the runnings to climb themselves too many points. Hang on. They might actually find him as well, just up in the building on the top floor. Does have a nade?
Yeah, they're clearing right now. QXZ might be able to get the nade down the stairs, but the way they're pushing, I think they'll be more than likely up there. Should have heard the pin. The trade should come through. Should be very easy. Yeah. And that will be DRX out. And Tong Ji Abao, direct competitors at the moment. 5th place to that 4th. 80 points now. The 3 points accrued. Very nicely done.
Gets even better for them, really, then.
That's a really strong spot they've got. But after that, it becomes less so. Nice rotate from Reject, though. They managed to get themselves underneath, right, and swing past on the old jungle vines here. Through Alpha 7, compounds on that western side of Everest. Up towards their north side is Alula HC, but that's not a bad spot considering this circle. There's still a chance for people to be playing up towards Everest, but with its location in this circle, it's more creating this awkward scenario where you're cutting out playable space.
We'll hone back in on that as the story develops, but as the saying goes, Team Liquid are down to a trio. It was the chief for the team, taking bullets from the back line. As for Miracle Vibes, found an opportunity to swipe onto them. They could take them down here. You've definitely got the edge. Ayala, oh, lays down, but gets hit by the bonnet. Run on over. Team Liquid really having a brutal day.
Yeah, it's been tough. I think they came out swinging on that Sandhawk, and then it's not looked the same since then. Reject currently have a scout out in Duello. They're in the middle of the field, up towards that northern side. Alpha 7 seeing it a little bit safer over towards Gatka. Again, feels like the safe route has been taken by Alpha 7 a lot today, reserving some of that aggression, some of that power towards the end of the games where they can just unleash it all at once with like a Alpha 7 beam, to be honest with you.
That's the one fight you don't want to be thrown into for Reject here. Your direct competitors. the team that you're hoping makes mistakes, that goes down early, gives you a pathway where if you have a glorious game, you could still climb and rise to the occasion to clash against them for the #1 spot. Focusing their attention instead on Tong Jiabao. Duello was the scout. Might be the linchpin for it. Finding cheeky off-angle peek to send out some shots across.
Yeah, this is actually a really strong spot. It's a spot that really shines if the circle comes up towards that northwest side. And again, it's very similar towards that Miramar that we saw from day 1, I believe it was, the last match of the day, purely because this is a spot that can give you a huge amount of eliminations if the circle comes over to you. And I like this from Reject because they do keep gambling on these spots. And if the circle comes to them, then they just thrive in that moment. And I think they realize that they are far enough behind now where they need to start gambling for these big moment games. It's a good thing that Reject goes for time and time again, though they need their frontman Reiji to stop going down early. He has been really the guy that's been leading a lot of the charges for Reject.
Put perfectly into place here with the graphic that's on your screen. Look at the highest damage that he's been dealing. Ocio can be an absolute monster. Zone starting to move in as well. New circle to play with Reject, still in a good position. Of course, Alpha 7, the team that's up on top. We hone back in on their POV, and it's McGrellin warring up against Talon. They crash into the compound. Nade's coming across. That one could be a bit of a problem, actually. That's on target towards McGrellin. Look at the move through the back. The DBS coming in to try and hit you with a little bit of a sneaky play. Alpha 7 going down early. Clean up crew required, but it's not going to be there. Uh-oh. The Talons have snuck their way in and snatch the lives of Alpha 7. They go out early. An opportunity is presented to Reject.
1v3 basically from Yoru in that situation. This lad just used to be on a community team with Yummy. And now here he is on Talon, battling versus the best in the biz right now. Kind of unreal, to be honest with you. But nice to see. But you're right. Circle moves in towards the location we were highlighting before, Jackie. High ground galore. Here's that replay. They just had nothing to do versus him. Saw the next coming through, and it's quick succession. And potentially, that succession is opened up now for Reject to take the #1 spot in the lobby, or at least get close to it. They're still 31 points behind. But this is the type of circle that potentially opens up the floodgates. That's also a game where Alpha 7's gone down early. Is that going to break the mental? Is that work that they've been doing behind the scenes, making sure they can keep on the straight and narrow during these matches, no matter what happens, no matter how bad things get?
And it's a crazy sequence. I mean, Alpha 7 take those 3 elimination points. It's better than it could have been with an early exit on this game. You still have those to add to your tally. For Reject, you've got to have a big elimination game and be gunning for the chicken dinner to be able to contend against them. Talon, meanwhile, 4 eliminations is great. You're getting close towards breaking into that 100 mark barrier. But as we saw, as heroic as the 1v4 was, it does mean there is only one man left. So the chance of him getting anything off of placement really comes down to being able to keep his nose clean and think about longevity more than anything. But yeah, potential storylines building on this one. This could be a great halfway point for the day.
Next circle dropping soon. Reject praying just for a friendly circle here. One that goes dead center. And as we go further into the game, there it is. Man, it feels like here at EWC, they want Reject to win.
Reject are certainly going to want to. You're given an opportunity after some bumpy games. Game 1 and Game 2 were not kind to them whatsoever. But here's Game 3, the start of something new. A chapter where they can build back in and prove how much fighting power Japan has here at the PUBG Mobile World Cup live from the Esports World Cup. Still room for the other teams beneath them, though, to duke it out amongst each other and lap one another.
Yeah.
We've been highlighting how close that is, man.
This is still difficult because this is one of the hardest spots to defend, but one of the best spots in this circle. And the reason it's so difficult to defend, as we get a nice little nade there coming through from IWNRX, is the fact that there are so many third parties and people realize how strong this position is. So as soon as teams get close to you and you let them get close to you, another team's going to swoop in afterwards because everyone wants that spot. So you need to be so resilient to hold on to this one. It's going to be a mega test for Reject. It really will be. TJB, on the other hand, 5th place. Feels like they've been stuck here for a while. There is a chance for them. Like you said, Talon down to 1 player.
Oh,
Have that.
I mean, not bad, actually.
Not bad.
Like, fair play. He's got a good throwing arm on that.
Go on, do another.
He's thinking about it. I mean, he's got 7 of them in the backpack.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he's got all of Alpha 7's grenades.
Oh, exactly 7. Lucky number 7 for him. I mean, he hit the jackpot on that one. For Miracle Vibes as well. Yeah, they lost Baron early. They can clean up at least versus the fragmented the Xavier as they'll find Shadow. Shots over on towards Paragon as well. A few bullets sent his way. Oh, mate, Paragon really getting bombarded onto now. And I think it's interesting as well, actually, that kind of like this really does play into the storyline of the way Reject like to play from distance, where the panic is when teams swoop on them, right? When they have to take close quarters combat. So, man, this is one of those. It's like a true test of everything we've seen.
Not only that, but Reject tends to like to be playing out in the open. They don't like compounded gameplay a lot. No. They like these open spaces, and it's something that Reject does really well, is just playing in positions that require you to have great communication. And I think that's something that Reject absolutely has. You can see it just in the body language on the stage. They're all great friends. They've all played together with one another on separate teams all over the place before they came together and created this super team in Japan. So yeah, that synergy is there. Alliance pick themselves up and knock over towards Al-Haji. This is on the south side. Next circle, heading into stage 5. This is the dangerous one. This is the midpoint of the game. A team start to get crunched out. There's no longer any places to be playing in.
You're being moved forward. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter. The zone will not argue. It will only usher you in, potentially moving you towards Reject's crosshairs. Attack down onto Alliance. The first bit of blood spilt from them. Looking for prime opportunities, nades being thrown out. He's got so many of them. I mean, he's down to 2 at this point, but if you can get one on target, could actually be a bit of a pain in the backside.
He's going to grab some more. He's got the refills, I'm sure of it. Thing is, Power's scared about pushing a single dude. I mean, the way he's playing does feel like he's a full squad. Like, there's at least 18 grenades going out. There's got to be 4 dudes in there. Luckily, a little cheeky spray from Frozen through the smoke will blow away Talon. I remove their clawed grip on this game for TJB to potentially chase here just a little bit. Reject reposition slightly because they need those elims. Right now, they haven't picked up too many of them, but teams will be crunched in soon.
When teams are on the move, distracted by potential fights, that's when Reject are going to want to strike. Power, it was awkward. Like you said, it felt like the confidence wasn't quite there for them on this swing out towards just the solo dolo for Talon. Now they move up. Kante in the buggy. Nades over the top. Tiamba unleashing a bucket of grenades, dumping them on the floor, trying to knock them over like a whole load of marbles, and they are falling down. There's the backstab. Kante with a run over for Dan, up close and personal, making it look easy. And Tiamba, they're really feeling the brunt of this one. Bit of a reply though. They get the shot back across. It looked like it was all said and done. It should have been cooked, but the chef for Tiamba saves the situation.
A little bit of seasoning thrown in there towards the end. Good stuff from them. Keep themselves in this one. I mean, for Tiamba, that looks real bad.
Yeah.
That looked real bad. There was like 8 nades inside the pan. Ready to just pop off. Throws it into the freezer, saves the day for Tiamba. Not before IWNRX lets the Wolves into the kitchen. Zed Wolf finds himself a nice little peek over towards them. We'll take down one of their off angles, and then even more shots ringing out. Very control on the SKS, actually. That's not a fun weapon to be using.
A good reset on the recoil. Tactical taps with the gun. But it's about hitting those shots. Getting them on target. So everyone's going to have to start making that way in. Zone is nipping at the heels. The distance that you've got will be taken away from you. Can't sit on the direct edge for too much longer. It's still towards that center zone. It's the setup from Reject. But like you said, only one elimination point. They need to find more opportunities, be gifted those fights, as there is the odd clash erupting around the lip of the zone now.
Yeah, they need to throw all these teams into the blender because they need to juice this game for as much as possible. Alliance take a nasty nade over the top. Second one looks awesome. And Tiamba will clean out Alliance. The final few members on that team. Next circle popping soon. Twisted Minds might be given a bit more of a chance here. Circle switches back down towards that swamp edge.
This is the fight that you're thinking Reject are probably debating when they want to instigate a bit of a sideswipe onto, with Alula XIHC clashing versus Boom. Vampire late on the rotate down. You've had Paragin with his belly to the ground for so long. Godless throws the nade across, but there is a reply from Boom. Fighting, bobbing, weaving with the limit cover that's available. Barely any HP to play off of. That SMG has to be pristine on the peak. He's trying to play for the quick bandage. Looks for the peek round the corner. Nade's going to be cooked to perfection. Ba-boom, as he's gone.
Roll comes through the assassination. Two blades in hand. Cuts down the players from Boom, all on his lonesome. Now has to sneak his way through the field. Pomb has his location locked in. Nade goes over the top, far and long. Looks pretty decent, but not quite far enough. Reject, though, playing scared. Playing safe, potentially. But we all know here that they have to pump a lot more points out of these games. We don't want to see Reject fall back into those bad habits that we saw from group stage. With more of that aggression. Not to worry, not to let Alpha 7 get in their heads.
Fortune favors the brave. And with the chips being down, Alpha 7 being out in this game, it's the opportunity where they have to carve a path to victory themselves, be the human hatchets to cut an opportunity back towards that first place spot. OCO, scoped in, looking for chances. He's usually that man to instigate it. He's been a big piece of the puzzle for them. Paragin for so long has kept himself alive, trying to give DXavier some kind of point tally towards the end. Vampire swoop and finally find him.
Sort of an interesting spot they're playing in right now because they moved away from the pylons as well. Slight shift over towards that western side. And I actually think they've gone so undetected that players don't even know they're here right now. They might be able to use that to their advantage, Jackie. I believe Boom is now taking shots over towards them. A smoke starts to bloom around the map. Pombit stepping up in the buggy. But Vampire look like pretty easy targets. They got to worry about this third party, though, from Boom, because they could explode on the scene as soon as they start this engagement between them and Vampire.
They're only supposed to blow the doors off, but Boom want to bring down the whole lobby if they're given a chance. Up on that elevated angle. Vampire taking the vehicles out of commission, so there's no splash damage that could come back to haunt them. Still got points of rotation to contend with. Miracle Vibes down in the dirt with a duo set up from Apex and Refus, looking for an opportunity to strike from there. Good nade. Looked pretty clean. It's going to be a little bit shallow. Still does damage, but not enough to get the full knock across. But it does give you the information you wanted on towards the Reject fight. Zone moving up, though, and force some issues here for the teams that are on the outer edge. IWNRX, Tongji about, Twisted Minds. All of them have to think about fighting their way through one another. Whereas Boom, they've got vehicles for the rotate. Are they feeling confident for a crash?
This is honestly the best circle shift for Reject because it both puts Boom Esports in an awkward situation where they're just being pushed out into sight lines. It also pushes Vampire in slightly as well. And now Reject has set up this defense, understanding the entirety of their backline now is free and clear. They just need to take shots downwards through this fielded region. They're already set up. They have vehicles to create a compound with. This is great news for them. And Boom Esports getting harassed by Tongji Bao now.
Okay, here we go then. This is the room. This is the opportunity. How did they contend with the fight? You get the peek up from the back line. Reject looking to try and scrap. GK first, taking hits from all over the shot. Boom, take damage on a few players, so they back off the pace. You get an attack from the side from Tiamba that will get one shot off. Good nade play from Reject as well, blowing away the hopes and dreams of Tongji Bao. As those are on target, they're starting to finally find room to get elims in the game.
Shan, last left alive here for Tiamba. Shortly will fall down, but a good game from them. 8 eliminations. Not bad at all. Boom. They lost one player in the process. Reject now up to 3 eliminations. They start to pump that damage in, Jackie. We saw them take a heavy hit there from Boom. No one knock went through just yet. Twisted Minds keeping IWNRX at bay. The Wildcats zipping through the trees.
Fast on their feet, but caught out of position as the shots are going to land. The claws need to come out for the Istanbul Wildcats, but it's the jump up from Obscure that hits that one on the fadeaway. The nade at least knocking him down and slowing down a rotate from Twisted Minds with a zone closing in on them. Reject, 1-for-1 trade. Osia on the nade back.
Nice.
It's Boom. There's the follow-up as well as Reject are beginning to feast into this game. For Miracle vibes are removed from the equation. We're whittling down our remaining squads and throwing us into the final fight.
Vampire in the meantime slowly moving their way up. Tony K can smell the damage being done. And there's the first nade from him over towards Duello. Reject no, they can't let this game slip out of their hands. Regiosio once again, 5 elims for the team. He's the one pumping in the numbers, but another massive nade from Tony K takes out, so many members from Reject here. 2 go down, Regiosio's out. It's left now up to the 2 players from Reject to keep this game a-going.
Vampiric burst from Tony K, giving the energy back to Vampire, but this has only frustrated Reject. It's only frustrated Ocio, and he wants to fight fire with fire, bringing the hurt back down on the Vampires, slaying one of them, knocking another, and putting himself into a position where maybe him and the duo can get it done. Down to just 2, but looking to keep this game going for Reject.
Massive nade from Sarah, heads over the top, and Regiosio goes to the peak, calls back to Sarah now, understanding must be quite low. Regiosio gets cleaned out by Obscure, just Sarah remaining, finishes up with a beautiful Molotov. That'll be Boom out. Top 3 now acquired for the boys on Reject.
The solo of Sarah, slowing down the pace, changing his scope on the game. They wanted a high elimination matchup, but now they're just focusing on the main point gain. If they can still take a chicken dinner, it's recoverable. It'll give them a good stead in this matchup with Alpha 7 going down so early into the flow of Game 3. Twisted Minds and Vampire are their opposition on this one. Twisted have played a backline the entire time. Vampire have been turning up the pressure when necessary. Scouting going on. Just trying to get a bit of a read on this from Guizhou.
Final zone here, stage 9. This will close all the way in. Twisted Minds and Vampire set to clash first. Sarah completely out of the equation right now. That might just work to his benefit. Drops the backpack. Remains unseen. The vehicles coming through though might be clearing the outer edges. And they realize it. Vampire looking to clean out that final player from Reject. In comes Schweppes. Flows on through, doesn't quite catch him, but he's in now with the sidelines of Twisted Minds.
Nades towards the smoke. They understand Sarah's location and are gaining information off the back of the use from the nades. But in this opportunity, they're trying to see if they want to start the fight versus Twisted themselves as Vampires are cleaning up for the pushdown. P90 spray onto Schweppes. Sarah still staying alive somehow. There's the strike from Obscure. Doubles down onto Schweppes. Is able to clean up on that one and give Twisted an edge in the fight. Sarah peeks up, looks for a strike from the side, putting bullets down towards the back line of Stoned.
Looking to pick up some more eliminations here. Stoned has a good idea of where he is. Will finish him off. That's Vampires now up into second place. Looks more towards Twisted Minds. He's not able to find it. Twisted Minds start the game in a bad stead. We're able to bring it back from the swamp. The beast rises from the waters, but it's Reject that we're all talking about. A top 3 there puts them back in contention for that first place spot, Jackie, versus Alpha 7.
A rough game for Alpha 7. 8 eliminations for Reject, and a good placement on the finish with only Sarah